Fabulous. Welcome everybody. Welcome to this next video. I'm here and delighted to be joined by Frank Bolaji Irabo, who I have known for a very long time, since 2020, was it, Frank?
Yeah, thereabouts.
So,
Definitely, yeah. It was
which,
during lockdown, I believe it was, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, given all that, it feels like a long time, doesn't it? Those last 4 or 5 years has
It's
been an
it's a big
incredible.
part of my coaching career for sure.
So it's wonderful to have you here because, yeah, we've obviously done a lot of stuff together over the years.
Mhm.
And then I was delighted when you put your hand up and went, yes, please, for some of this Mace stuff. So we're here to hear about your journey with the Mace Energy Method and what we've done together. So, really, Frank, over to you. I would love to hear what you first came with. Like, what was it that maybe caught your attention when I was sharing about Mace and that had you go, ooh, I think that maybe is for me too.
Um, yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity to share this. So, for me, I mean, obviously being a coach myself, I'm aware of lots of modality and the way I work, kind of working with the mind and things like that. And with our time together spent, so I kind of knew where you were coming from and generally speaking, what kind of approach you have. And we've talked a lot about 3Ps in the past and things like that. So it's kind of in your book as well that you did and talking about the mind and all that. So I'm thinking, well, for you to have been through all of that and then be this excited about Mace, there must be something here. And what I found even more intriguing was the fact that the Mace method didn't require disclosure. And I thought, how does that work? How is that possible? And because I knew you and trusted you so much, and that you couldn't be making it up. If you're literally saying this is how it is, then there must be something here. And kind of for about 2 years in a row now, I've been trying to, when it comes to my birthday around January, I try and treat myself to some sort of therapy, help, or coaching or something, just to invest in my own being. Because people might be surprised to find out coaches need coaches as well, and that not all coaches have everything together, and we're all on a journey. And very often, what we learn and what we go through is what gives us the capacity to hold that space for other people and support other people. So I thought to myself, well, this year what am I going to gift myself? I thought, you know what, I'm going to gift myself a mace therapy session. And for me personally, I always like to do some research. So I got the book. I read the book and kind of saw where John Mace was coming from and all that. And I thought, this is interesting. Okay. And what I loved about it was the idea of clearing energy and kind of just, getting rid of like dissociative or unhelpful identities. And I thought that's interesting because I know in my personal experience, that there are two key areas where I felt I could do with a shift. I could do with some sort of move. I mean, I've worked a lot on them, but there's still residual stuff there that's not moved. One was relationship and kind of being in a place where I was being triggered and feeling angry about things or conversations that I'm not happy about, and I kind of didn't know how to deal with it, but also kind of holding my voice a lot in, a lot of people pleasing due to kind of the idea of, I had early abandonment when I was much younger. So kind of all that was still hanging around, and there's been lots of disclosure type therapies that have tried to address that and not necessarily making enough headways. The second area that I was focused on was really had all these plans about what I wanted to do in my business and how I wanted to grow my coaching business, and recognized that I was getting stuck and not really having that oomph to really go for it and kind of playing a bit small or not really seeing myself being able to expand and grow like a new potentially could be possible. So those were two main areas really that were my main focus for coming to the May session.
Hmm.
And I know when we got into the session, one of the things that was really key, and I kind of put this into the room very earlier on, was I had to make sure that because I'm a coach, the tendency is to go into something like that and start going, oh, yeah, I'm having the therapy, but I'm going to kind of keep one eye out for working out how this works so that I can see how I can use this so I can understand it. And it was kind of really becoming very present in the session and making sure that I was just being completely following the lead of what you were doing and also then seeing what the benefits are. And one of the things that really stood out for me was it's one of the therapies that in its effectiveness, I still can't explain to you how come it works or why it's so effective, but I know it is.
Yeah, I love that, Frank. I love that. Gosh, so much good stuff in there. And yeah, just to pick up on that last piece, me too. Yeah, I remember sitting in that seat, having my very first foundation session, exactly in that position of like trying to figure out what was going on at the same time as doing the process. And I know it will have slowed things down. I know it will have impacted the effectiveness of it. So I love that. Well, A, that I love that I did that because then it meant I really learned that that's not helpful. So I can share that with other people. And really love that you fully put yourself into that client seat and just trusted the process, trusted me to guide you through it, and yeah, took your attention off any of that analyzing because yeah, it's definitely one of the things we really well, we don't encourage, we say it's absolutely not required for
Mm,
that process and it does slow it down. So I love that you yeah, that we had that conversation at the start and that you actually did it and you put all of that down and just followed it. And I also really love what you've shared about the things that you brought to it because for me, you're a perfect example of the kind of client I love working with, where you are capable in the world. You are doing good stuff in the world. You've got your business, you've been successful in corporate life. You've now got your business, you've written a book, you lead poetry work, you are known for being a poet and a coach. And and yeah, capable. People would look to Frank and go, he's a capable guy. He's getting on with it. Yes, he's had some challenges. Yes, he's gone through bankruptcy, but look, he's learned from that and he's done all this and then how on the inside we can still really know for ourselves, well, yes, and there's something not quite right here. There's something else that's, like you said, nothing else has got to. All these other disclosure modalities or any other modality hasn't quite got to. And that's exactly, yeah, that's exactly the information that we need, that we pay attention to and we go, yeah, that's that needs attention. And as you said, we don't necessarily fully understand it from a human material world perspective, but the knowing in us that, yeah, there's something here that this Mace Energy Method is talking to that feels true for me, which was exactly the experience I had. Yeah.
yeah, and one of the other things probably worth putting on the table as well is what was characteristic about the things I brought was the fact that I knew that somehow when you go back and analyze events and things that have happened, you think that didn't make sense. Why did I feel that way because of that? Because actually thinking about it, this so there's something below the surface that is in the way of all of that. And for me that kind of was something I felt, well, maybe this might be the thing that could address that because having used all the different modalities, yes,
Mm.
there was progress made. I'm not going to be disingenuous there, but nonetheless, there's still residue of it. And one of the things that really caught me about what you were saying about the Mace method was that it literally has the wherewithal to get rid of something permanently. And that to me was like, no, that got my attention because
Mm.
it's like, yeah, okay, that would do. Something
Yeah.
that would actually, once you deal with it, is gone, and then you're not continually coming back to it over and over again.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and to me, the evidence of that is the fact that with other modalities, there's always been something else. Like, oh, well, now this has happened, or now that's happened, or now this has come into my awareness. There was always like another thing. I remember one guide saying to me once, "Oh, well, yes, of course, once we've cleaned up our own stuff, then we start cleaning up stuff for the collective." And I'm like, oh, bloody hell, that sounds that's literally endless. Whereas what I've seen with this is like I can tell it's gone because the amount of stuff and the bigness of the stuff is lessening with time rather than increasing with time.
Hmm.
So yeah, really that. Yeah, very cool, Frank. Also just want to point out there, because yeah, both you and I have done a lot of stuff before coming to this. And the way I see it is that like if we had layers of sand and then some bigger pebbles and then some bigger pebbles again and then some rocks, it's like all the work we were doing was,
Hmm.
all right, we'll clear the sand off. Oh, now I can see these little pebbles. Okay, let's clear these little pebbles off. Oh, but then now there's these bigger pebbles. Okay, let's like we were doing that. And what we've done here is clear out the rocks that were the very source of all of the stuff that was above it.
Hmm.
And the great thing is that you don't have to do all that stuff that we did before. You can, if that's your journey, if that's
Hmm.
what you do, then that's what you do. That's what we did. But the thing I love is that you can just get straight to the rocks with this. You don't need to do all that prior excavation. Just handle the rocks. That's
Yeah.
that's what's manifesting all the negative thoughts and feelings. That's what's manifesting all the negative experiences. So you don't need to do all the prior. You can just go straight there.
Yeah. And in a way, kind of, when you look at it, it's like one is trying to deal with those things with one hand tied behind your back, really, because ultimately you're trying to deal with something that you can't use your head to analyze, but you're trying to use some therapy that's requiring your head to get to it. So it kind of needs something that's going to get direct to it and bypass all of that in order to really get to it.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that, Frank. I love that. Got chills. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant description. Yeah. So Frank, tell me a little bit about how you found the process then. What was it like for you?
Well, for me, in the process itself, like I say, because I had to really kind of say, I'm going to be present, just follow Helen's lead here. Um, and what I found was, as you began to say, okay, whatever you're bringing, okay, have you got a picture, an image, or something that represents that? It just comes there. And then this idea of where you're kind of seeing it, and it's kind of in the distance, just disappearing away. and and then it's kind of like when you do that test again to check, okay, how are you feeling now? When you think about it, you think, oh, that's shifted. And then you kind of do the next one. And what I found about the process was very thorough in terms of kind of sweeping. So it's not even just dealing with what you brought, it's dealing kind of with, is there anything else there? Is there anything else? A very generous process of going, yeah, we're here. Let's clear as much as we can. Let's look as much as we can. And there was no hurry to kind of go, oh yeah, that's it. No, we're done. It was kind of like, yeah, I really appreciated that part of it. And I think as a result, then you come out the other end of it, and things that you didn't even know is things that wasn't what you brought to the table get addressed because of that very thorough process
Mm,
that is gone through in terms of really not only sweeping your experience to see anything stuck in there, but also really begin to think about, okay, is it still there? Not being afraid to ask that question. If it's still there, then we keep going, we keep doing it. So I found it, yeah. Originally, I thought, well, that's a long time. And I thought, well, before you know it, that time is up.
yeah, yeah, oh my God. I love it, Frank. I love it. Yeah, so much that. And you're speaking exactly to why I love this process and why I loved it when I first experienced it too. Because I remember, so prior to this, I'd been doing the kind of more spiritual energy work where I was, guided by the energy and did what the energy wanted me to do in a kind of, yeah, normal woo-woo spiritual kind of land, which was amazing. And I know it got results for people, but I never knew exactly what result it was going to get. I never knew exactly what that person would leave clear of or how that would, you know, yeah, whether it would last and all that kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, exactly that. I remember sitting in that first session going, oh my God, that's amazing. I've literally got the evidence right here, right now that that thing is gone. And there's such a different feeling of it, isn't there? There's like, it's not it's not a, well, actually, to be fair, sometimes people's doubt comes up and goes, oh, has that really gone? And then we'll handle that because that's not our natural state. But when
Mm,
we're in our natural state, it's like, oh no, that's really gone. Like you can
mm,
just feel it, can't you? And you
yeah,
connect back into that situation or back into that person, whatever the thing is we're handling. And it's like, oh no, that's entirely different. I
yeah,
love that we know we're dealing with that exact thing. And yet, like you said, we are very thorough because
mm,
we know that if we're not thorough, it's not all gone, and therefore it will just manifest again.
yeah,
So, absolutely, we are a passionate bunch of people around. Yeah, we really want to make sure that you get a very thorough experience in that foundation process. Yeah, 100%.
yeah. No, I really did experience that, and for me that kind of was okay. My brain was freaking out in one way because it's going, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how this is working, but I'm kind of going, yeah, that's fine. We're just doing just doing this. And then yeah, and then I think at the end of it, you kind of take some time to really process what we've just been through because like it's like nothing one has been through before in that respect. So it's kind of like, ah, okay. And not having to do all the disclosure and everything else, I thought was powerful because then it's kind of like, but you can tell it's effective. Yeah, the brain freaks out, but you realize, well, who cares? The results are there. That's what
Yeah,
matters.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
And I'm really talking about results then. What I then discovered off the back of it. So let's deal with the relationship essence of it. It was kind of like this whole idea of not being triggered in the same way anymore. It's kind of like, oh yeah, there is someone doing some talking, I am doing some listening, and there is a way I feel about what's being said, and I'm able to communicate how I feel about what's being said. And there was a sense of like owning my own space. There was a sense of just being able to go, oh yeah, so this is what I would like from this. This is what serves me. And being able to then say, oh, this is not serving me. This is a bit I don't like. So it's without necessarily being what I came in to address, what it really did for me really is build that sense of, oh, you deserve to be here, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to have what serves you, and you have a voice to be able to say that and really lean into that without it feeling like there's something aggressive or there's some sort of so it was it becomes very more clear communication, more clear being because there wasn't all the kind of energy that was kind of making something else out of something or layering lots of thought around something. So there was clearer seeing, there was clearer reacting, there was clearer dealing with, and there was less baggage of that event happened an hour ago and it's kind of still a thing. It's kind of like it happened, handled, good.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. So that for me was powerful in that way. And then when it came to kind of the thing to do with my work and what I'm doing and stuff like that, one of the things that really surprised me, but in a pleasant way, was this idea of executive powers. And I'll explain what I mean, is the ability to have an intention and to execute on it without all the thinking about it or the because what I used to have sometimes is when I consider doing certain things and I feel a tightness in my chest and like a resistance. And then it's kind of like, and it almost makes you feel like you don't want to do it or whatever. And what I then stepped into was this kind of almost like a straight line between the intention and the doing. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, this makes sense to do. I am going to do this, and I just do it. There's none of the
Ooh.
resistance and going, oh, do I want to do that? Yeah, maybe I'll get to what it was kind of like very clear and it's hard to explain because it's like almost like I was living with a blockage in my doing. It was like something was in the way of me doing without me knowing what it was. It just came out as a feeling or a resistance or a tightness. But
Mm.
once I came out the other end of the work we did together, it was like, oh yeah, that needs doing. Oh, that's good. Okay, it needs doing, and then just do it. And so I found that my executive powers went through the roof. I was getting more done in less time because there was none of the you know, perambulating and going around and spending ages and ages analyzing and pre-analyzing and post-analyzing and everything else. Yeah, and a lot of more things made sense to do, and I just did it. And there was that sense of, oh yeah, and why not? Yes, and I found that my ability to then dream bigger and feel comfortable dreaming bigger and feeling comfortable seeing myself doing bigger things. I think what was also marked in that coming off the end of that.
Oh my God, Frank, it just makes me so happy. So happy. It's so wonderful. And again, I want to reiterate the fact you were already doing so much great stuff. And
Hmm.
now that it's like that's amplified and we get even more Frank and me even more Frank's creativity creating amazing stuff in the world. It's like, oh my God. And in healthy
Hmm.
relationship with you, which means that's healthy relationship with others. And there's some key things I want to highlight from this, but I'm first of all really curious with these experiences that you've seen shifts with. And given that not all of them were included in your here's what I'd like to change, would you say that some of those things you were just kind of like blind to? Like, would you have just thought, well, this is just how it is? Like, would you not even have noticed some of those things that have changed, like being a problem in the past? Was there a sense of, well, this is just how it is? You didn't even give it attention. It was just, yeah,
Well,
just
it's
happening.
kind of a bit of both in that I knew there was something there, but I didn't know what it was, so I
Okay,
couldn't
okay.
know what to deal with it. But you're right, there's also a sense of it's been like that for so long, you just get used to it. But I
Mm,
wouldn't say I wasn't aware it happened, but I didn't think, well, Okay, I'm not sure what you do with that, but it is what it is. And because I was still getting things done, but it's just that I wasn't getting as much done, and there was more drama around getting things done.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm getting more done with less drama. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And it feels better, is what I can say. It feels, because obviously you're not carrying those kind of restrictive feelings in your body, and those reactions and things like that. It's amazing. We don't realize how much energy that's chewing up until it's not there anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness, that's such a huge point. Such a huge point. We don't realize how much we're carrying until it's not there. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that point about, yeah, where your energy and attention's going, when all that's going on inside, so much of our energy and attention's going on inside. How do I navigate this? How do I please them? How do I not get into an argument with them? How do I navigate this in a way that keeps me safe, that means that I get the result I want in a way that, but it's all protection, limitation, all that energy and attention that's been going inwards in all that like inner vigilance and inner fears, inner resistances, like you said, all of that energy and attention can then flow outward, which is why you're saying now you see more easy doing, more easy creating, bigger dreaming, because all of that potential, which was always designed to flow outwards, can now actually flow outwards into the world. And yeah, you've got the capacity to dream, capacity to go after what you want rather than resisting what you don't want on the inside, which has taken so much time and energy prior to, yeah, these Mace experiences. So yeah, I really love it. And that simplicity. There's a theme through everything you're saying. It's simpler, it's easier. It feels to me like when you're talking about like the relationship stuff, there's an and the doing stuff, there's an easy yes and an easy no,
Hmm.
like an obviousness, and a and an openness to to receive from another and to then express
Hmm.
without there being a whole inner, ooh, let me just analyze that and figure it out first before I decide what to do with it. So it, yeah, everything gets easier because it's like that. Yeah, that's what we're designed for. These simple, that's the clarity of who we are. It's an obvious yes, an obvious no. And if I don't know, then I'm going to find out more. That's the next thing I do. And then I get my obvious yes or no.
Yeah, and the other thing that came out of it was this sense of honoring self, in that there was a before, when then things happened, and things go well or don't go well, there's a turning on oneself to say, oh, I must be a horrible or bad person for this to have happened, or this to, but then all of a sudden there's none of that, because it's kind of like, no, something happened, but it's not what defines who I am. So I'm not quite sure how Mace gets to that, but certainly I have noticed that I'm standing more in that space. I'm standing more in the space of owning who I am and not turning on myself,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Again, your
regardless of
natural
what
state.
happens out there.
Yeah, yeah, because one of the things we talk about is you can't change other people, but you don't have to be affected by them.
Hmm.
That again is our natural state. We are sovereign in our own being. You're grounded in yourself, then you get to healthily interact with the world. And
Hmm.
absolutely, yeah, because all the negative thoughts and feelings about ourselves come from these negative identities. That's the only place that we've ever thought, I'm wrong, I shouldn't be like this, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable.
Hmm.
All of that has come from these negative identities, and hence why we've looked to the world to go, oh my God, well, can you secure me instead? Like, can you validate me? Because I don't think I can validate myself. Can you show me love? Because I don't seem to be able to love myself. So we clear all that stuff out the way. You've got your natural source of genuine self-love, genuine self-appreciation, genuine self respect, and then that flows, yeah, out into relationship, and your whole, yeah, the whole world changes then. Oh, it's so cool, Frank. So cool.
Yeah.
So, what else is there at this point that you'd want to share with people?
I would say that, I mean, I don't know. One thing I'd like to say is I was so impacted by Mace that I'm even looking at my own clients and going, you could do it a bit of Mace. You could do it a bit of Mace. Because when, and I don't mean it's a panacea for everything, but I mean, like, if people are experiencing these restrictions or constrictions, or energetic things that are stopping or getting in their way, for me personally, based on all the things I've tried, Mace will be my go-to really for saying, I think you should consider this,
Mm,
because I think it creates a great foundation for then the other stuff that, because if that stuff is staying underneath, there's going to be getting in the way of making progress with some of the more disclosure stuff or kind of more practical kind of things that people are thinking they want to achieve. So we could end up, like you say, just working on the sand and leaving the rocks underneath. So
yeah.
I've really, that's how much I kind of recognize, okay, the proof is in the pudding. I have had the proof of the pudding. I know this works, and therefore now I'm on the lookout for, if I'm working with people and I think this could be a benefit to them, then definitely it would be something that I'll be recommending that they
Mm.
consider.
Yeah, I love that, Frank. I love that. And absolutely, for you, for me, for clients we've both worked before with and who you'll still work with in coaching context, how many times have we self-sabotaged because there was that negativity in us, even though we went to the coach saying, "Oh, I really want to achieve this, I really want to do this," and then you'd be working with your coach and then you'd self-sabotage and not achieve the thing and maybe beat yourself up. Whereas, yeah, exactly like you're saying, absent of all that, the negative identity stuff, then you get to work with clients who are clean and ready and just go, yeah, I want to do the thing. Help me do the thing, Frank.
Mhm.
And I want to acknowledge how I now appreciate coaching for that now as well. So I'm still working with coaches because I value the fact that they can provoke my thinking, they can challenge my thinking, they can help me see things in a way that I can't currently see. Doesn't mean I agree with everything and go with everything they say, but they kind of stir the pot for me and have me consider different ways and different possibilities that I'm not currently aware of. And the difference now with that for me is that when they're doing that, there's again back to that giving and receiving thing. It's like there's a receiving of their challenge or their suggestion or their question and being able to take that inwards and go, what does that mean for me? What do I want to do that? How do I want to live that? Rather than as before, yeah, I'd have got stuck in all the negativity and the resistance would have slowed me down loads, and I'd have spent ages trying to get through that to then decide what I wanted to do. And so I really want to say in reverse as well how much Mace has made a difference for me in terms of value and coaching for that. Yeah, for that ability to challenge thinking and see things a different way. So yeah, I really see that combined value of both
Yeah.
aspects of a
Mm.
of a journey.
Yeah, definitely. And something you said there just reminded me as well. The other thing I found, I'm currently working with a coach to do with things like client acquisition and things like that. And one of the things I noticed about myself in the past, we really gotten to certain bits and it's things I would have resisted.
Mm,
Um, but I found myself kind of look, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity to redesign what I'm doing and to make it deliverable in a more scalable way, blah, 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 blah. So my attitude around that has changed. So before you'll be kind of like, oh, I'm not sure that's for me. Oh, then I'm going to have to go and do this and I'm going to
yeah.
have to do that. I'm not sure I want to do all of that. But it's kind of like, oh, yes, absolutely. I can see his point. I can see that. I hadn't thought of that before. And that, okay, oh, well, this is an opportunity, and we'll keep working on it till it feels right and whatever, and then we'll go for it. So there's a more positive approach to things that maybe before would have just been a shutdown almost, like, and you not being really quite sure why that's there, but knowing that it's there.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. Amazing, Frank. Thank you so much. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for having trusted me and come to experience the maze process with me. I'm again delighted. I've heard so much from you since your sessions, but again, I'm still beaming at the difference it's made for you. And in fact, you're one of the people who's actually had your foundation sessions and you're kind of like, oh, amazing, right, I'm off. Some people come back for more sessions, which is not wrong.
Mm.
I'm still having sessions. I still love getting, if there's a thing that comes up, right, I'm getting that cleared out the way. I want to be free to move. I want to be free to create in the world. So I'm not saying right and wrong, but it's lovely to see all of this coming from just from the foundation process. It's really phenomenal. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so
Well,
much for
thank you
being who
so
you are.
much for yeah, introducing me to the Mace method and for my intuition leading me to think, yeah, go for that. I
Go
mean,
for it.
funny story, I was actually approaching another therapy. I was going to go for something else. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll go. And I was going to do the thing where I was going to go into therapy and then be keeping an eye out for how the person is doing it, just in case I might find something I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
use
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And the person never responded. And I thought, okay, there's something is not off here. Okay, I'll do Helen's Mace and see how we go. And I think the universe set that up because what I
Yes.
got from it is just phenomenal. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you so much, Frank. Lots of love.